Nation has called for an investigation into the alleged killings of hundreds of people in the protests that erupted during last month's disrupted elections in Tanzania. The call for a probe comes as Tanzanian authorities have charged hundreds of people with treason over these demonstrations. UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk has said that there was an apparent attempt to conceal evidence of protesters' deaths. This accusation follows reports that security forces were taking bodies of those killed in the violence from mortuaries to undisclosed locations. The main opposition party, CHADEMA, has stated that about 2,000 people were killed during 3 days of protests following the disputed poll. The government has yet to give an official death toll. The UN also said hundreds of people are believed to have been killed, but was unable to verify the figures due to the volatile security situation in Tanzania and the country's internet shutdown that lasted for 6 days after the elections. Now for this discussion, we welcome Ayanuga Olubenga Paul. He's a public affairs analyst, joins us live from Lagos. Thank you very much for joining us again. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now looking at this, what more can you tell us about the situation that's unfolded in Tanzania, or what more do we know about this?
Well, I think the Tanzanian government is trying to consolidate itself in government after quickly doing the inauguration to cement the new term of the president in office, and in order to ensure that all loopholes are covered. I think that's why they are doing a lot of things they are doing, but it seems that they are forgotten from history the case of the Srebrenica massacre that led to the likes of Slobodan Milosevic of the former Yugoslavia then being tried with his henchmen who were in support of him during that situation. And the CHADEMA party has claimed that about 2,000 people have been dead or missing since this crisis has started, even though the UN authority are being careful to quote a specific figure, but they are also saying that a lot of people have been killed and the dead bodies were not even released to their families for proper burials because they don't want people to be accounted for properly. You know, it's just like nobody, no evidence. So that's what it seems like they are trying to do. And what this will do us in the psyche of most Tanzanians who are opposed to the government is a government who took power by brute force, and they will not readily acknowledge such government. And for anybody to think that Azan Suluhu is the only one, that president is the only one in this cabal getting this thing done, I think the person should rethink the thing, because while she might be the figurehead that we are seeing in the front, there are a lot of fingers pointing to other powerful members of the Tanzanian political community, such as former President Kikwete, even the Vice President Emmanuel Nchimbi, are all fingered in the ongoing conversation about the deadly massacre that is taking place. And, you know, even though they shut down internet for 6 days to prevent people to air their grievances and maybe bring live updates of what is happening on the ground to the people, they are now threatening those who are uploading videos from that event during the time the internet was shut down. They are now uploading videos, and they are threatening those uploading the videos with treason so that they will not upload the video. And I'm sure that even when the more damning videos surface, they will most likely say it's AI or it's doctor or this or that. But I think the Tanzanian government, having taken power now, needs to look for a way to compensate the citizenry, one with good governance, then those who have lost family members with immediate release of dead body so that they can have closure, and also maybe a form of relief to the families who have lost breadwinners, and they should release all political prisoners who that is the only way they can begin to make effort to pacify the people. Other than that, I don't see the trouble ending for the Tanzanian government. You might try to, suppress the people temporarily using brute force, but eventually the people might raise themselves up in resistance army, and we've had one too many resistance army in most corners of Africa that it would be a terrible thing if Tanzania is now added to the list again. I think the president should learn what is happening in Mali, what is happening in Sudan and Congo, and try to mend fences as one of our major priority as she is taking power now.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Ayunaba Olugbenga Paul for joining us again as public affairs analyst and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we stay in the region. In Gabon, a court has sentenced former First Lady Sylvia Bongo and her son Nuruddin Bongo to 20 years in prison for embezzlement and corruption following a 2-day graft trial held in their absence. Both were accused of diverting public funds and exploiting former President Ali Bongo, who was removed from power in a 2023 military coup. Sylvia Bongo, 62, has denied all charges, while her son, 33, has dismissed the case as a legal farce. The court says testimony from former aides revealed a system of siphoning state money for private gain. Tens of the Bongo's former associates are also on trial for complicity. The Bongo family ruled Gabon for 55 years, first under Omar Bongo and then his son Ali Bongo, before the coup led by General Brice Oligui Nguema took power. Now we move on. The World Bank and Tunisia have signed a $430 million financing deal to modernize the country's electricity sector and expand renewable energy. The 5-year agreement aims to make Tunisia's power supply more sustainable, reliable, and affordable by improving the performance of the state utility stack and accelerating renewable energy deployment. The plan targets $2.8 billion in private investment to add 2.8 gigawatts of new solar and wind capacity by 2028. According to the World Bank initiative, it will help cut electricity costs by nearly 20% and create around 30,000 jobs, strengthening Tunisia's position as a regional clean energy hub. Now we move on to Ethiopia. Ethiopia has stated that it would host the United Nations COP32 climate summit in 2027, fending off a rival bid from Nigeria to land an influential role that will allow it to shape the agenda and outcomes of the event. The more immediate choice of host for next year's COP31 remains unsolved. However, with both Australia and Turkey are vying for it, COP hosts countries adopt a presidency role, which allows them to set goals for the summit and showcase their own climate issues, as well as an important position in resolving any conflicts that arise during the negotiations. Now we move on to South Africa. In South Africa, former President Jacob Zuma is set to testify in defense of his daughter, Duduzile Zuma Sambula, who is on trial for incitement to violence linked to the July 2021 unrest that left over 300 people dead and devastated the economy. The Umkhonto we Sizwe Party MP faces 3 counts of incitement to commit terrorism and 2 counts of public violence. Prosecutors alleged that her social media posts that at the time encouraged riots, looting, and the destruction of property. Zuma Sambula's trial began this week in the Durban High Court and is expected to continue for 2 weeks, with her father's testimony likely to draw major public attention.